Doing really good, man. How was you and the family and everything like this? A corona effect, the pandemic, how is everything going day to day in your life?
Yeah, everything's going pretty well, given the circumstances, but it feels kind of, I don't know, kind of the same to me, like as far as like my regimen, just because I'm sticking to my diet, I'm getting sleep, instead of going to practice because our gym's closed.
Right.
I'll still go run. I'll get my workouts in, hit the bag in my gym or in my garage, or go do one-on-ones with some coaches. So
Okay.
even though I'm not practicing, with the team and doing other things that we typically do, I'm still sticking to some type of regimen.
Right. You got to, and especially hopefully, with UFC 249 going on, hopefully your fight OKC is still good. I had Charles Rosso on last week, and he was talking about it. He goes, I call every day, and the UFC says, yes, we're doing it. We're going. Have you talked to the UFC at all about your fight May 2nd?
No, and that's kind of funny thing. Like that fight is actually, I did one other interview, and they asked me about the fight. Everyone else found out about that before I did. I've never even been offered that fight.
Really?
On that date, and I saw like they leaked it and all this stuff, and I was actually on the phone with my manager at the time. I was calling him for like updates and like possible opponents and dates, and my phone started going crazy, and so I just opened something and I was like, oh, they just announced this fight, and he's like, all right. So as like, I don't have a bout agreement. I've never been offered to fight in Oklahoma, so that's not happening.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but I was
Yeah.
saying before, I'm not opposed to the opponent at all. Barboza, he's coming down to featherweight. It would be an exciting fight for the fans, so I'm not
Right.
opposed to the matchup, as long as it makes sense. And the only thing, when my wife and I were in Vietnam, they asked my manager if I'd fight him April 25th in Nebraska. And my manager he said, I already know your answer, but I still have to kind of tell you what they're throwing out there. And
Right.
I was like, oh, that's way too soon, just because I was on vacation. I just got injured, so that's the reason why I went on vacation. So I was like, the soonest I want to fight would be like mid-May to possibly June or July, and then all of a sudden they have me fighting in Oklahoma, and I'm like, you got to ask me at least, at least call me. but
Right.
yeah, so that
That's
May 2nd card will not happen. I'll tell you that. But the opponent, I'm not opposed to that.
Right. It really is. It's he has a big name. The featherweight division, we'll kind of get into that later, especially we'll have a fun little thing at the end about some of the featherweights on the rise. I love the featherweight division. You've been a mainstay there for a while. Kind of the story, a lot to unpack there, but I had Malky Kawa, who's the CEO of FRM, had him a couple of podcasts ago. Good friends with Felicia Spencer, and I was talking to her, probably 4 weeks ago, and same kind of thing. And I was like, hey, is this going to happen with Amanda? She's like, it probably will, but I haven't got a bout agreement yet. She's like, hey, I haven't got it, and I talk to her all the time. And then next thing I know, it's everywhere. Ariel Helwani and ESPN, UFC, they're putting it out that they're fighting. And she's like, Dave, I still haven't signed anything. I guess I am taking Amanda. But it's amazing that I hear that. And same thing with, I say with Malky, like the UFC moves quick, it seems like. And it's almost, I don't want to say they put the pressure on you in a way, but like you said, they leak stuff, and it's like, okay, I guess I am going to fight or not. So how do you feel on that? And are you confident in yourself and to get another fight, be like, hey, May 2nd, I'm not ready. I'm going to get him in June somewhere.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, Sean knows, like, I've never turned down a fight. I have not turned down one fight. And so he probably knows my answer, but it's like, you got to at least call and ask first, But yeah, maybe that could be the case, if they try to, they're trying to put the pressure on you.
Right.
But it's like, but that's the thing. I was injured, so I wasn't even cleared, and then I was going to come back in, basically like the end of February, early March, and then that's why I was like, oh, I want to at least see how I feel first, just because I got injured and I had to take like several, I took like 2 months off, and so yeah, I was saying the soonest would be like mid to end of May. And then I saw they were coming to San Diego, and so I was like, oh, I went on that car because it's in California. It's a quick flight for me, not have so many people there. But the athletic commission CSAC, California State
Okay.
Athletic Commission, announced that they're going to have no sporting events through the month of May. So I'm like, that's definitely not happening. And so I'm like, I've always wanted to fight in Vegas. I've always wanted to be on International Fight Week. Never
Right.
have. So I'm like, that's looking a lot better to me at this moment. So I actually just I hit up my manager today, and then I was working out and missed his call. So I'll shoot him a call tomorrow,
There you
and
go.
I'm going to see if he's heard anything back. But I already know the question to that, because if he's heard anything about my contract, about
Yeah.
dates or anything, like, he would have already called me. So and he's also, he manages Ferguson, so I know he's been dealing with that type of issue. So I really didn't want to bother him, but I just shot him a text saying, like, hey, what's going on? And I have one fight on my contract left, so I think that's what they're trying to renegotiate right now. So
Right.
from a business standpoint, if it makes sense, for sure, I'll fight anybody. But if I wasn't going to benefit from it, then from like a standpoint of, he's won the last, I think, 4 of his last 5 fights, coming off a 2 or 3 fight losing streak. I won the last 4 of my 5. He's won the last 1 of his last fights. I've won 4 or 5. So yeah, if I didn't get compensated in some way, then it doesn't make any sense, because I don't move anywhere. I beat him, where I stay where I am. He beats me, and then it's like he takes my place, and then they push him for a title shot. So they have to throw something in there, like, pay me, and then I'll get a damn top 5 or top 3 person, instead of just keep fighting people behind me. It just bothers me, because I'm never going to get to where I want to be if I can't get those big matchups that I want.
Wow. So much there again. For one, yeah, International Fight Week, I can see you and Barbosa as like the main event of the prelims, and it's the prelim main event is usually like one of the best fights in the card, because they want ESPN to watch it, or whatever it's on. It's a huge fight, usually an exciting fight. You guys, just as a fan of MMA, would be amazing inside the octagon, you and Barbosa. But yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. You're in that 8-9 spot, and it's like with him coming in, and there's so many studs above it. Like I said, we'll get into that in a second. I would love to see you fight a 5 or 4, and take care of business, and you're 1 or maybe 2 away from that, and we'll get there. First and foremost, last time we talked, I don't know if you remember, it was in the transition when we were heading to Fight Bananas. You talked a lot about Mastermind, and you talked about working out here on the Corona effect and everything of that nature. But me personally, with multiple kids, it's not the workout. It's almost working out your mind in this, staying at home, and I'm off my schedule. How are you doing it? How are you working out with your mind and making sure everything is still good and you're still in a positive state of mind?
Yeah, it's for me, that's like I was saying before. I feel like it's kind of the same. I think people that work a typical job of some sort, where it's like a 8 to 5, and they physically have to get up, get ready, leave, and then they don't come home till later. I think it's affecting them the most. But for me, like I said, this is kind of, I'm sticking to the same regimen. Like I get up, I eat, then instead of me getting ready and going to practice, I go for a run. I come back, I eat, I go into the garage and do another workout, or I go do a one-on-one with a coach. You know what I mean? So for me, like, as far as that goes, I'm kind of, it hasn't affected me so much. And I see a lot of people that are stir crazy, and they're like, oh, I got to get out of the house, I got to do all this stuff. The only thing that, like, I can't do is, like, there's nothing really open, So if, say, my wife and I want to go see a movie, like, we can't do that, you know what I mean? But we can do it here at home. So it's it hasn't really affected us too much, because it feels the same, like nothing's changed, because we don't have those normal jobs. So yeah, I'm staying, like, I'm just doing a lot of stuff. I'm, like, just reading up on some stuff. I've been playing around with some day trading, and I've been getting into the stock market, especially this time's a perfect time. So I've been playing around with that a lot, and I have, like, a good buddy of mine that's kind of mentoring me and like, showing me the ropes of that. So I've been learning a lot, reading a lot, and just kind of just having fun with it.
Oh, very cool, my man. So yeah, what do you think? What's your first take with UFC 249? They're going for it. Gaethje and Ferg in the main event. They just nailed the whole card. Card is stacked. It's one of those things where with all this, chaos, and especially with Khabib and Fergus fighting for the, gut thing. UFC 249 is a go.
Yeah, I think it's obviously I really wanted to see the Khabib and Ferguson fight, but I still think the fans are lucky, like in Justin Gaethje and Ferguson, like I really want to see that fight as well. They're both
Oh,
super dangerous, like it can go either way. But yeah, like I said, I think the fans are lucky that we're gonna get to see a sporting event during this time, and it's yeah, like you said, the top to bottom. The card is stacked. So I'll
really is.
definitely be tuning in to watch that and looking forward to it. We only have 2 more weeks, right? Like 2.5 weeks
Yeah.
until it goes down. So yeah, no, I'm stoked about it. But I do feel that it's just risky for Ferguson. Is he on a 12 fight win streak or
12,
12 or
yeah, 12
13?
in a
Yeah.
row. I get, they did make it for the interim championship, and then Ferguson said, he really kind of wanted the belt back regardless. And he said it too, and I do respect this. And I heard it right away. He goes, sooner or later I was going to fight Gaethje. Like I
Yeah.
was going to get him sooner or later. So let's just do it now. Let's just get it out of the way.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like he's on a 12 fight winning streak. Gaethje's super talented and tough. One of the, he's a big star, up and coming guy, and everyone knows who he is. So I think people are excited about it. I think it'll be more of an exciting fight, from like just a fan standpoint. But like he is taking a big risk, because Khabib and him were supposed to fight 5 times already now. And that's for the title. So it's like he wins the fight. He's in my eyes, he's already the interim champ. He was the interim champ and then he got stripped of it. So he's already that. He wins. He still has to fight Khabib to unify it. But if Gaethje wins, which he very well could,
Right.
it sets Ferguson back, and then it's a crazy thing how it went down. But it's awesome how they're both willing to do it, and just so they can put on a fight, and they both believe in themselves. I think every fighter, you have to believe you're the best and you can beat anyone. Otherwise, why are you in this? Even
Right.
though there are a lot of people that just want to say they got to the UFC and step foot in the octagon, go 0-2 out, but that would mean absolutely nothing to me and a lot of people. So
Right.
I'm stoked for this fight.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a mixed martial arts fight, fan's dream for sure. Okay, so almost the long as you've been in the UFC, Max Holloway has been the featherweight king. I still think the greatest featherweight, maybe of all time. Volkanovski beats him unanimous 5 rounds. It looks like that rematch is going to happen at UFC 251, especially the UFC 249 going. I would assume the next events are going to go. So 251 is going to be that. How do you see the rematch playing out? And were you surprised with Volkanovski with the domination of Max, or you just how skilled Alexander the Great is?
Yeah, no, I think Max is a great champion, and people were saying Aldo was the best featherweight of all time, but then Max put him away twice,
Right.
and he's been so dominant. And but no, I called it. Like I was doing a lot of like interviews before their fight, and I kept saying Volkanovski's going to beat him. It's just
Really?
the style. I feel like the style is just different. Like Volkanovski's he's a powerful, just great wrestler. He stays in like a good shell. He's real. Just I don't know. I was just saying he's going to beat him. Like he's going to beat Holloway, and then yeah, he pulled it off, and it was a great fight. It was an awesome fight. But I don't see the rematch really going much different. Like I feel like it's going to be pretty similar, and but they've been in there. They were in there for 25 minutes together, so they know what's going to happen, and they know each other's style. They know how hard they hit, how fast they are. But I don't know. I just don't see it playing out that different. I think styles make fights, and I think that Volkanovski's style to Max is just, he kind of I don't know. He just not expose him, but he kind of knew what he was going to do,
Right.
and nothing seemed to phase him, and he stuck to his game plan and implemented it throughout the whole 25 minutes, and did really well. And that's the whole thing. I was like, man, I think Volkanovski and I match up really well. I think we're very similar in just like our size, stature, power, like everything about it. I think we match up like really well together, and that's what I was saying. I was like, man, I would love to work my way up there and then eventually get a crack at him, just because I think it would be an exciting fight for
Yeah.
the fans,
Yeah.
and just he's beat some of my teammates and stuff like that, and he's a good dude. I saw him in Rio when he fought Aldo, yeah, he's just a humble. He's a good guy. He'll be a great champion, just like Max was. But it's
Right.
just like I think everyone wants that. Everyone's gunning for that. So now he has a target on his back. But no, I was calling him to beat him.
Wow. One last question. Then I said we have a fun little thing at the end with a couple of the featherweights. You just mentioned it. Cejudo, stocky, short, strong wrestler. Volkanovski. We keep on going the weight classes. Khabib Nurmagomedov, 170 Usman. It seems like that's a winning recipe for these 125s to 170s in there. I always say that, I have two boys. One boy he's 7 years old. He's in the boxing gym all the time. And I'm like, wrestle. That's the first thing I want you to learn is wrestle. And are you with me on that? If you had to teach one base to start, wrestling is a great starting point for any mixed martial artist.
Oh, 100%. I come from a wrestling background. I grew up, I wrestled since I was a little kid, all through high school, junior college, and at the 4-year. I haven't got to, demonstrate it much in the UFC, but I can go on there and wrestle really well. So I think wrestling is the perfect base and foundation for mixed martial arts. Yeah, like, because you can't, it's hard, like, unless you've wrestled, like, you cannot teach wrestling, especially at a high level in, a year, 2 years, 5 years. You cannot. But boxing, you can show someone how to throw a punch, get someone's timing down, like all these, like, fundamentally. But wrestling it's just a different, I don't know, just sport, and it's tough. It's like you can't teach someone how to golf in a year, to
Right.
be like Tiger Woods. It's just like the technique, and you have to have all that mat time. So it's like I even feel, I don't know, it's kind of the similar.
Trained in you almost, it's just like something, a part of your body. That's what I always feel like. People tell me it's like, no, like I needed that move for 14 years to, move the feet right to wrestle. It's just everything I hear.
Yeah, and it's just the work ethic. Like wrestling, it's so damn tough. Like a 7 minute college match is tougher than a 15, even a 25-minute fight. I fought. I was a champion in a regional scene before I got in the UFC, and I fought 25-minute fights. And it's like a 7-minute match, like grind match, is way tougher than because it's nonstop going. It's like you're squeezing, you're pulling, you're using like every body part and muscle, and it's like it's so exhausting and draining. And at least like in a fight, you can dance around, move around, and breathe. If you're on top, you can kind of breathe and stall. That's not the case with wrestling. So I highly recommend people to get into wrestling if they want to get into MMA. I say build that
Right.
foundation with wrestling, and then I would say once they get the the technique and everything and they're doing pretty well, do as much tournaments as possible just for fun, but then also get into some of the jujitsu, because it's different. Like when you're so used to wrestling, when I got into MMA and stuff, when I would shoot in, and then jiu-jitsu guys, like our necks are up because we want to have good posture, and then they just like you choke you and stuff like that, like just learning things. But yeah, I would say start there, and then a lot of times in a fight, like I didn't feel comfortable just standing on my feet until probably like my 7th, 8th pro fight, where I just stand there. I would go in there,
Really,
even amateur fights, and think like, oh, I'm just gonna stand and knock this guy out. But then they hit me, I'm like shooting in, just instinct. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's I say work your weaknesses, because someone's not just gonna stand there. It'd be like a street fight. Even though someone might not be able to fight that well on the street, like they get into it, they just grab each other and like start whipping each other to the ground. Unless you're like comfortable and you're gonna stand there and like literally fight someone, no one's gonna just stand there. And then as far as like women and little girls and stuff like that, even little kids in general, I always say, like, I think the best self-defense is jiu-jitsu, for them, because it's just like a woman, they could put them in some type of submission or choke or lock, and you don't really have to rely on strength for that if you have good technique. So those kind of my thoughts.
No, it's great points. Thank you so much, Josh Emmett. Guys, follow Josh Emmett UFC on the Instagram. Definitely give him a follow. 15-2 featherweight. All right, fun little thing. I'm gonna name 6 featherweights. 5-10 seconds, a couple words that come to your head right away. You ready?
Yep.
The Korean Zombie.
And just nonstop walking down, pressure.
Okay. Brian Ortega.
Slit submission artist.
Okay. Bryce Mitchell.
Loves the camo.
He does. That's a good one. Zabit.
Just unorthodox, crafty.
Crafty. Okay. Two more. Super Sadiq Yusuf.
Up and comer, just powerful. Just powerful.
Okay. Last one. One of my guys, Charles Rosa.
He's super talented. I've trained with him. He's come out to Alpha Male before, and he's just, I don't know, he's a good dude. He's talented. He's well rounded everywhere. Just really well rounded. Yeah.
And best thing, if he was training with you, did he cook for you? Best cook in the game.
No, he did not. next time, if he ever makes it out here again, he'll have to.
There you go. My man, really do appreciate it. A lot of tough times going on, and we've been doing a lot of podcasts and just trying to get people entertainment and something not to watch the news. So hopefully people will have fun. Have a great night. Continue success. Hopefully we'll see you June or July in the Octagon. And Josh, thank you for your time, brother.
All right, anytime. Take care. Be safe.
All right.
All right, have a good one.
All right.